Hello, Lindsay Elliott from Lindsay Elliott Coaching here. And I want to talk today about worry, because I think in the world that we live in and the world that we swim around in, particularly in our society here in the West, there is some kind of belief that we need to worry about things. There's some link there between worrying and love, or that worrying shows care, or worrying shows that we love people, or worrying shows that we're a good person, a conscientious person, that it means something about us, in short. So I'd like to speak about that in the hope that it might be helpful, that if you are a worrier, or that this might bring you a bit of freedom and a bit of relief from it. So what's quite, I hear quite a lot is people saying, oh, I'm such a worrier, or I worry about X all the time. So be that I worry about my kids all the time, or I worry about the future all the time, or I worry about money, or I worry about my health, or I worry about my relationship. You know, there's just usually one or two topics that it looks like it's important for us to worry about or feel concerned about. And what I would like to highlight is the fact that we don't actually have to do that. And what if it doesn't actually mean all of the things that we think it means about us? So the first get my words out. The first helpful place to look, I think, is to see that worry is totally an activity of the mind about stuff that isn't happening. Or if it is about stuff that's happening, so even if you are, say your child is feeling anxious, or they're struggling at school, or you have got some money worries, that it will still be some element of looking like keep chewing it over in your mind is going to present a solution. But most of the time, worry is about something that isn't even happening, that we need to worry about the future in some way in order to stop bad things from happening. So first off, we want to see that this is totally a function of a brain or a mind trying to keep us alive, and thinking that it's helpful, because basically our brains are designed to predict the future, or they think they can predict the future. But prediction looks like it's a really useful tool to our mind, because in order to keep us alive, all of the brains, like in evolutionary history, that were able to do a little bit of predicting. So is the rustle in the bushes over there a wild animal? Oh, yes, it is. I predicted that right. Those genes are going to get carried forward because they were in a body that got alive and didn't get eaten by the tiger. Okay. Or the one that was like, oh, that is a warring, a rival tribe over on the horizon. That isn't just some buffaloes. The brain that was able to predict that and see that would have been the brain that survived. So first off, just seeing that down through our genes, any brain that was able to predict is now in our genes. So I'm not saying that in the most elegant way, but I hope that you can see what I'm pointing to. Is that any brains that weren't able to predict would have just been extinct because they died in the bodies of people. So we want to see that still a function of our brain. It looks like if it can predict what's going to happen, then it will be able to prevent bad things from happening. And so I think because we don't have many direct threats to our survival anymore, it now looks like that prediction element sort of turns into like a constant low-grade worry about things that looks like it's helpful, that looks like it's solution presenting, that looks like it might be able to stop bad things from happening. But we really just want to pull back and see it's a function of a brain, it's a function of an organ, it's not the truth of who we are, and most importantly, it is not helpful. It does not stop bad things from happening, okay, almost all of the time. So what we want to see is that there is life happening here. Okay, so I've used this train track metaphor quite a few times in my videos because I think for me, it's one of the most, it was so helpful for me because I'm definitely had a lot of worry in my past, and it's definitely a place that my mind can go. So all you worriers out there, I am with you on this. So we want to see that, like, say life is happening on this train track, And things are going to happen in life that we can't control, that are unexpected, that are uncertain. And life is going to just keep moving forward. There's going to be this constant flow of energy, constant flow of experiences, constant flow of events. Things are going to happen. People are going to get ill. People are going to die. We're going to have more money, less money, happiness, sadness. It's all just going to keep happening on this track. And then we have a mind, our thinking, our experience of it that happens on this track. Okay. And no amount of thinking, worrying, chewing something over, spinning the wheels of our cognition about something is going to affect this track. So say we are worried about something in our child's future, or we are worried about our financial situation. So we've got that on this track, and then we've got worrying about it over here. And no amount of the mental processing of it is going to affect future outcome. It's just going to narrate it. And so when we can see this really clearly, we can see that life is happening here. There's a narration, a worry, a constant picking it over. It might be quite unconscious or low grade going on, but that isn't going to affect this track. It isn't going to, kind of intersect into it and change it. The more that we see that, the more that we can notice when our mind is churning something over, and that the worry is not, it's like sitting in a rocking chair and expecting to get somewhere. We're just rocking back and forth and not actually traveling anywhere meaningful. As soon as we can start to notice that, we can start to notice when our mind, because this gets very habitual, just to say that, once a mind gets into this, it will slip into it much more easily. So this gets habitual. We can notice our habit of worrying, and we can gently start to turn our attention away from it. And slowly the dial of it gets turned down. That does take a bit of time, but it does get turned down the more we don't pay attention to it. Because truly, as life is trucking along over here, just life is happening, experiences are happening. If challenging things come along, there is something outside of our thinking, the worrying side of our brain, that totally is going to come into play to help us. So our wisdom, our intelligence, our common sense, our inner knowing, our inner GPS is absolutely going to kick in to help us with whatever challenges we have in life. So if we aren't aware of that we have a connection to something much more deeper and much more intelligent than just our constant worried chatter going on in our mind, it looks like giving up worry is going to be a bit dangerous in some way, because it means I'm not going to be able to predict the future. I'm not going to know how to solve problems. I'm not going to be able to keep everybody safe, which is another topic because we can't. But anyway, we'll leave that to one side for the moment. But what if there's actually something much more helpful than the constant noise chatter that goes on over here on this track? Okay, so that's what I'd love you to ponder, that this is just repetitive, habitual, future focused, nothing to do with what's happening. And even if it is about what's happening, answers to things, the answers that you need are not going to come from this. They're going to come from a much deeper place within you that you can trust. So that's one of the first big parts of it, that worry is not going to achieve anything, not going to change the outcome of anything. And the other piece of it that I think can be really helpful to see is that when we see it as a statement of identity, I am a worrier, oh, I'm just a worrier, but it feels like it's who we are, it's part of who we are. And particularly if we add the layer of meaning, almost unconsciously, I'm a worrier, and that means that I really love people, I really care about people, or I'm really thoughtful, or I'm really kind. All of that kind of extra added meaning that we give it, which is totally made up. If we think it's part of our identity, part of our personality, part of who we are, it becomes harder to just let it go and stop doing it, because it might feel a bit like, well, who am I going to be without the worry? I mean, that's something I've had clients say to me. Who am I going to be if I don't worry? What am I going to do if I don't worry? Well, the answer to that question only comes in turning away from the worry and seeing, because truly the worry isn't who we are. And it certainly doesn't mean that we don't love people, that we won't help people when we can, that we won't try to find solutions for people. but it just means that it's not going to come from the constant chatter in our minds. And I see this so much, that this is so reinforced by society, and particularly for women, that worrying equals love. Worrying equals being a good parent, or being a good sibling, or being a good wife, or being a good daughter. Whether you're worrying about your aging parents, or you're worrying about your children, or you're worrying about your husband, or you're worrying about your colleagues. It's just, what if all of that, quite frankly, crap that we have been told that worry equals love is just conditioning within society that kind of is everywhere, and it's really hard not to absorb it. But what if we can start to question that actually I don't need to worry about something, because A, it's not going to be helpful, and B, it doesn't prove what an amazing person I am. It doesn't prove what a caring human being I am. It just ends up with me spinning my wheels, having a much noisier mind. And when we've got a noisier mind, it's really hard to be present with the people that we love. It's really hard to listen with another ear to solutions that might present themselves when our mind is just full of all of this worry, and it looks like who we are and what I've got to do in order to prove what a loving and good parent, wife, mother, daughter I am. This also happens for men as well, of course. It's just, I think there's more societal pressure on women to be this kind of like, oh, I just worry, I'm a worrier. So as takeaways, just to summarize, start to see if you can see that the worry is not going to change the outcome of things. See if you can notice that solutions come to you, that you can trust that solutions will come to you as and when you need them. And they often come when you're not thinking about something. So, the classic, I'm in the shower, I'm driving the car, and it just occurs to me, yeah, that would be helpful to do, as opposed to I'm going to sit and think about this, and, I'm worrying about it, and I think a solution's going to come. So what if we can trust that solutions are absolutely there for us, but they don't come through all of the busy overthinking that we've got going on? And what if it isn't important for us to have in our identity, I am a worrier? What if who you really are, has nothing to do with being a worrier or worrying? So worrying is totally an experience, a feeling that comes from our thinking and is passing through us. It's not who we are. It is an experience that we feel. But innocently, we take it on to be our identity. So just see if you identify as being a worrier, just see if you can notice that, okay, what if this isn't who I am, but it's an experience passing through me? And notice all the times that you're not worrying, like what happens to you then and your personality and your identity when you're not worrying. So I hope this has been helpful and maybe pointed you in a direction that you might not have looked at before about worry. If you have enjoyed this video, please do like the video, because it does help the YouTube algorithm to pick it up for me to reach more people. Please do subscribe to my channel so that you have updates when I release new videos. And if you are really struggling with worry and anxiety, then I have my Breakup with Anxiety one-to-one coaching program, which is totally designed. It's an 8-week program designed to help free you from anxiety and worry. Okay, and all of those details are in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. See you again soon. Bye.